Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you from the DeKalb Library. And I wanted to do some earrings today, but I wanted to do something a little different where I usually do some earrings that have hooks. And today I thought we would do some that have posts. And I wanted to show you a way that we could do it where you can have a lot of dangling going on and still have something very, not, well, kind of dainty and very ladylike looking and not very heavy since it's spring and or we're in the summer now and we don't need a lot of weight on our ears. So I'm going to show you how to do some pretty post earrings with dangles on them, multiple dangles, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So what you're going to need is your usual tools, your round nose pliers. They're rounded all the way around the barrel, and it starts larger at the bottom, tapers up to almost a tip at the top, and square nose pliers, they're slightly rounded on the outside, but flat on the inside. When you buy these in the store, make sure you check, make sure there aren't any grips on them, any of the ridges. And when you get them online, you can usually, they usually have a picture of the inside of the pliers. And if you can't see whether or not there are any grips on it, go to another um, distributor or seller. Then the third thing that you're going to need is a pair of pliers or a pair of cutting pliers. Um, that's all they're going to do. They're going to cut your wire, cut your chain if you have some chain to cut, which we will today. And you'll need 24 gauge wire is what I'm using today, as well as some eye pins and head pins. And I will show you those when you get down here so that you have a better idea of what we're working. Where are we using it? Eye pins? Let's see. No, we're using 24 gauge wire and head pins. We're going to make our own eye pins out of the 24 gauge wire. So, and you're going to just need an assortment of beads. You choose the beads that you want to work with, and that's it. It's not anything specific. It's a nice assortment so that you can make the earrings to your own specifications. I think that's it. You'll need a ruler in order to measure everything, but other than that, I think we've got it covered. So let's go ahead and get down here to the mat and get started. The first thing that we're going to make is this nice little chain, bead wrapped chain that is going to have beads down the front where the little ball is, right down here, down the front, and another strand going down the back behind the ear. So it's going to look sort of like this. Oh, I could put it on this funny looking ear so that you could see, but I'll show it to you once we have made one. So what I'm going to need is a little strand of 24 gauge wire. And depending on the size beads you use, that will determine how much wire you need. You need an inch of wire on each side of the beads, and you need to measure the beads to see how much space they'll take up, and then add that to the inch on each side. So this is going to be 1 inch, 2 inches, and whatever that is. In my case, I've got three little 4 millimeter metal beads, and that's going to take up approximately half an inch. So that this is 2.5 inches of wire. So the first thing I'm going to do is bend my wire right at about the inch mark, and I'm just eyeballing it. Give it a nice bend over to the side, and then I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, and I'm just going to make a small loop. I'm going to go about 1/4 inch down from the tip of my pliers, put the wire in there with the short tail in between the jaws of the pliers. Then I'm going to bring that short tail over the top and down the side until it's running parallel with the longer with the longer wire. Then I'm going to I'm going to shift my pliers. One side has the wire in it. One side is basically just holding it. So I'm going to hold on to my wire, open my pliers out without moving the wire up or down the pliers. I'm going to reposition that empty barrel out of the way and clamp back down and then push that short tail of wire under the pliers until it's out to the side. Long wire is going one way, the other wire is out to the side. So now I have a nice little loop. Okay. Then I'm going to grab my square pliers, hold on to what I call the face, the flat part of my loop, and I'm going to wrap that short tail around the long one, 1.5 times. That's all I need. Then I'm going to cut that off. Make sure I'm doing this correctly. Oh, no, I'm not, because you know why? I want to attach this to this guy. So I shouldn't have wrapped that. So let me go ahead and get another piece of wire. For those of you following along as I do it, I apologize. Okay, so again, I need about 2.5 inches of wire. And again, I'm just eyeballing it. I'm going to bend my wire back about 1 inch. And, I could have gone ahead with that. That would have been okay. You didn't really have to do it over again. Well, let's just stick with this guy that I've already wrapped because it's going to connect to another a head pin. So this was fine. If you were following along and you're going, doggone it, she gave me the wrong information. I really didn't. This is fine. So let's go ahead. We got our little loop. I'm going to go ahead and cut off that end of that tail. See how much I had left? But it's better to have too much than too little. I cut that off as short as close as I can get to my wraps. And then I'm going to use my pliers to push that little tip down so that it's not sticking up and ready to scratch you while you're wearing it. There we go. And if it's still sticking up, wait till you get your bees on and you'll have something to hold on to while you work with it a little bit more. But try to get it down as much as possible. I see it sticking out so that it won't scratch your skin or your ears while you're wearing it. There. Okay, now I'm going to put my beads on. You can put them on in any order that you want. I'm using these pretty metal beads. I usually use these as spacers, but I thought it would make a nice earring. Put that on there. Okay. Then I'm going to bend my wire over to the side again. Grab my round nose pliers. Slide that wire in between the jaws of my pliers again, down about 1/4 inch from the tip. That's the size loop I want. Then I'm going to bring that wire over the top and down the side of the beads. Hold on to the beads and wire, open my pliers up, reposition the empty barrel out of the way, and I'm going to bring the wire over until it's out to the side, and I'm going to stop there because now I'm going to pick up my little ball. Oh, I forgot to tell you, you do need the earring piece. This is a ball post. It's got the little ball that you in the pin that you stick in your ear. this little ball rests on your earlobe, and then it's got the little opening down here, the little loop down here that you can attach something to, which is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to slide my little wire in there until the open loop is full of the closed loop. So my little closed loop pin is down inside the open loop of my beads. And then I'm going to wrap it closed. Push that down against the loop, grab my square pliers, hold on to, again, what I call the face, the flat part of my loop, and wrap that closed, just like I did on the other side, but now I have something in there with it. And then once I've done my, once I've done my 1.5 wraps around, I'm going to clip off the tail as close as I can get to the loop and push down that sharp tip with my square pliers. Now you can hold on to the beads in order to do that. Now you have something with a little, you have a little leverage there. Push that down. And remember to hold on to the bottom, because if you don't, everything's going to spin. You want to hold on to it so that you have it nice and secure. And then just push that little tip down. And check with your fingers. Sometimes it's hard to see it with your eyes because it's very thin wire. But run your finger along it, along the wire, to see if it's sticking out, see if anything's sticking out and ready to scratch you, because that would be very uncomfortable. So that's the top half, excuse me, of the front. Oops, hold on. Sorry about that. I got something caught in my throat. All right, let's do the bottom half of my dangle. And for that, I'm using a head pin. Remember I said we were going to use head pins for this. A head pin is just a pin with some kind of a stopper on it. It could be a flat head pin, which is what I have here, but something on the bottom that when you put your beads on, it stops them from falling off. So I'm going to put 3 beads on. Again, you can use any kind of beads that you want. Put them on in any order that you want. So I've got my beads on there. You, again, just need to have a pin that's long enough so that you have about 1/2 inch left once you've got your beads on. Because for my head pin, I'm just doing a simple loop that's not wrapped. So I want to bend my wire out to the side as close to my beads as I can get. So I don't want a lot of space. Sorry, something's still in my throat. I don't want a lot of space between the bead and the bend. So once I've got that bent, I'm going to cut it down to about 1/2 inch because I don't need too big a loop. Now I want to hold on to this tip because if I don't, it's going to go flying across the room to parts unknown, or you can use your little spool or some kind of spool that has an opening in it that you can turn that tip down into, snip it off, and it just drops right down in there. Nicely captured. And I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, place my wire in between the pliers, slide it down about 1/4 inch from the tip, just like I've done all the others. Make sure that that tip's not sticking out. If you can feel it, obviously it's sticking out. So just pull it back until it's right in between the jaws of the plier and make a turn and keep turning until you have a loop. And there we go. Now I want to make sure it's closed. Get that back a little bit. Close that up. Nice and snug. And let's straighten this out a bit with my square pliers. Make sure that little tip is resting against the rest of the wire. Here we go. Now I need to put these together. That's why I said it was okay for me to go ahead and wrap this on one side, because now I can open up my open loop out to the side and slide it inside the closed loop and twist it closed again. Whenever you open these loops, you want to open them out to the side. Just twist it open and then twist it closed. That's the easiest way to open and close a non-wrapped loop. So there's the front. There's the front. I've already done the back, same way I did the front. Pin on the bottom, loop on the top. But for this, I need a jump ring so that I can attach it to my little butterfly back. So I'm going to grab my pliers, open up my jump ring. Now you can do this a couple of ways. You can use your thumb and finger along with your pliers and just twist it like so. Slide that jump ring inside your loop at the top of your dangle, and then also slide one side of the butterfly back inside the loop. Then close it. Close it up until both of those little rings, those little tips, are together. And then there's my earring. This is the back. This is the front. Slide it on. And that's what I have. Let's go ahead and put it on this little ear. Let's poke that front in there. The little post. Go. Fleshy ear we got here. And put the post on the back. I mean the little butterfly clasp, if you can call it that. It's just the backing that goes on the back post. And in order to make this kind of earring, this is the kind of back that you need. There's several different kind of backs that you can use for a post earring, but for this, you need a butterfly back. Slide that on, and here we have it. Here's my little earring. Yay! Isn't that neat? Just something a little different. Let's do another one. Okay, I need to get all set up here and grab everything, and I'll be right back. All right, let's use some chain. Yeah. So what we're going to do for this one, I've got 3 beads here. These are 3 beads that I'm using, these little square kind of rectangle ones. You can, again, use any beads that you want. There is nothing specific about the beads that you use. You can use any size, any type. It's entirely up to you. So what I'm going to do here is grab my beads, one of my beads and a head pin, slide the head pin on, and I'm just going to do it exactly like I did the other one, except for instead of 3 beads, I just have 1. So I'm going to bend my wire off to the side, just like I did with the other. I'm going to cut down the wire down to, or the head pin down to about 1/2 inch. Grab my little well here, cut that off. Nice. And make my loop. Again, I'm going to slide it down about 1/4 of an inch from my tip. Make sure that the end is not sticking out. And rotate until I have a loop. Make sure it's closed all the way. Yes. Now I'm going to attach it to my chain. Again, you can use any length of chain that you like. I have about 3/4 of an inch here for the front because I'm going to be dangling something down the back and I wanted it to be 3 different lengths. So what have I got here? I think it's about 3/4 of an inch. If I can find my ruler. That's odd. Where is it? Ruler. Where are you? This table somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay, it's a clear ruler that likes to hide from it. Okay, so is this 3/4 or what have I got? Yeah, I have about, so okay, straighten this little wire out. I have just over 1/2 an inch, about 5/8 of an inch. So again, use your own judgment as far as how much you want. So now all I'm going to do is open up my little bead loop, as I call it. Let's open that up, out to the side, just like I showed you on the other one. And I'm going to slide the last link of my chain on one side into my loop and close it. Just twist it closed again. Make sure that that little tip is resting against the rest of my nice little headband. Here we go. And then I'm going to add a jump ring. So I've got my little jump ring here. I open it up. And I showed you how to open it with your thumb and finger. Now I'm going to show you how to use the 2-plier method. You have 1 plier. I like to use the flat plier on one side facing inward, and then the round pliers going up and down, and then I twist it open. Grab my chain, and I'm going to slide that last link on the other side of my chain inside my jump ring, and then my little ball post, the little loop from the little ball post, got a bronze one this time. Slide that inside my jump ring and twist it closed. Make sure those little tips are together. And that is the front of my earring. And you can stop there. You can just make this your earring. You don't have to put anything on the back. If you don't want to, you can just use your little butterfly closure, and that would be the end of it. But I'm going to go another step. Yay. So I'm going to go ahead and put these little beads on the back, dangling from this chain. And I'm going to match up this one that I've already done. So I need to check. I think I have 2 little links here. on one side, or 10 little links on one side, and then a longer set on the other side. So let's count my little links. You can make yours as long or as short as you want. I'm giving myself 10 links, and then I'm going to attach it with my jump ring. So let's go ahead and count that out. Open my jump ring so I have it ready. Make sure that everything's lined up properly. Yes. Twist that open, and let's see what I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is my 10th loop. Gonna grab my jump ring, slide it into that 10th link. And that's what I have. One is a little bit longer than the other one. I'm going to twist that closed. Nope, before I twist it closed, I'm going to add it to my little butterfly back. Now I could have gone ahead and closed that and added this later, but I may as well go ahead and put it on there. Slide that on and close it. There we go. Now let's add my little dangles. So I'm going to go ahead. These two are already made. I'm going to open up my little loop out to the side, slide it into one of the last links on my chain. There we go. And close it. Just twist it closed. Do the same with the other one on the other side of my chain. Slide that in there and twist the bead loop closed. And there we have it. Yay. Let's try this one on my little ear. Yay, yay, yay. Okay, get that in there. This is the fleshiest, and it's probably good because I have another one that gets, once I puncture it, the little puncture marks don't go away. This one swallows those little marks right up, which is great. A little too far up. Ugh. Get in there. Yeah. And then put the back on. It's easier on your own ear, I can assure you. Okay, get that on there. And here is my earring. Yay. Isn't that neat? Hmm. That neat. I love it. It's kind of hard to see when it's laying down. Kind of hard to see how it actually looks on the ear. Yay. Okay, earrings number 2. Let's go ahead and do a third one because why not? Hmm. Oh, I thought I had. I'm still on camera. I am so sorry. We're still going. Okay. So you got to see all of that happen. So what we're going to do now is, where is it? We're going to make this gold one with some chain and one little bead just for something different. Very simple. So what I'm going to do is give myself again about I've got about 2¼ inches of wire here. Again, I need 1 inch on either side, on each side of whatever bead I'm using. So measure your bead, give yourself an extra 2 inches for wrapping purposes, and that's all you need. So I'm going to bend my wire at about the 1 inch mark. You'll be doing a lot of this, obviously. It's very repetitive. Slide my wire in between the jaws of my pliers, down about 1/4 inch away from the tip of my pliers. Wrap the wire around the pliers until it's running parallel with the longer wire. Open up my pliers, reposition the empty barrel out of my way, and bring the short tail of wire under my pliers until I have a nice little. Yes. Now, before I wrap this, which I almost did, I'm going to grab my little post, slide my wire on, slide my post down the tail of my wire and inside that open loop. Just let it drop right down in there. Then I'm going to grab my square pliers, hold on to the face, and wrap 1.5 times, just like I did the last time. 1.5.
Hi there.
My phone is telling me wrap it up, but you know what? I just want to keep going. Cut that little tail off. It was long enough for me to hold on to, so I didn't need my little spool to push it down into. Okay, let's tuck this down. That little end down. Okay. Grab my bead, slide it on, bend my wire over to the side, just like I did before. And make a loop. Short tail, 1/4 inch from the tip of my pliers. Over the top, down the side of my bead, reposition my pliers until I can make my loop, like I've done many times before. Then I'm going to grab my chain. Before I close this up, I'm going to grab my chain, slide the last one of the on one side of my chain, the last loop inside the open loop of my wire. Okay, you just slide that right down in there. And grab my square pliers, kind of a tight squeeze. There we go. And wrap that closed 1.5 times. Same thing we've been doing time and time again. Snip off that little end. as close as you can get. The closer you can get to the other wraps when you cut, the easier it's going to be to push that little tip down. So get as close as you can. Where is it? There it is. Push that down against the other wraps. Here we go. No, I can still feel it a little bit. Okay, and now we're going to attach it to the other side because what I want for this one is for it to loop around under the ear, like so. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a jump ring, open it up. Here's the top. Now, if you can see, this jump ring is a little bit overlapping. My little tips aren't together, so I need to correct that. So I'm going to grab 2 pliers on each side of the opening, and I'm going to kind of wiggle it open until I can get the tips together and not bypassing each other. There we go. There, much better. Good. Nice. So now I'm going to twist that open, slide the other end of my chain inside my jump ring, add my butterfly closure, close up my jump ring, make sure it's nicely closed. And there is my little earring. Let's try it on. Yeah. And there's my little earring. Isn't that neat? I love it. That's pretty. Can you see that? Get a little closer. There. There it is. Yay. Well, I was going to stop with 3, but I want to do one more. Let me just pull these out real quick. Eat a couple of these guys. So what I thought I'd do with this one, I don't need that many, is do something with the head pins on the front and back. So for that, I'm going to grab a few crystals. I just got 3 crystals. They're the same color. You can do any size that you want. I'm going to make my loop just like I've done with the others. And for this, we're not wrapping anything. 3 of them. And get them all on, and then I'll make my loops. Again, I'm bending over to the side. Cut it down to about 1/2 inch. Make sure to hold on to that little tip. Okay. And put it down to about half an inch. Okay. Grab my round nose pliers and make my loops. Oh, I got a little overzealous. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to give you guys all extra head pins because I did that incorrectly. Well, not well, yeah, because what I want is two long ones in the back and one short one in the front. So I shouldn't have kept them all short, should I? No, I shouldn't have. And it's a good thing I have extra head pins. Now I can show you the correct way. All right. So I have one short one, which is correct, and the other two are going to be long. We're not cutting those. All right, so the long ones, I should have stopped with three. See, now I've gone crazy. So the long one, I'm going to just make a loop on top. You don't have to do anything except slide that little tip down a quarter of the way from the tip of the pliers. The tip of my wire is in between the pliers, not sticking out. And I'm going to make a loop. And I'm going to do the same with the other one. Put it there. There we go. So I've got two loops. Well, that's one of my jump rings. Yeah. And then I've got the short one. Same thing, just shorter. There. Okay. So this one, the short one, I'm going to attach to the little ball that goes on the front. So open it up just like I've done with the others. Slide that open ring inside the closed ring on the ball, right there under the ball there. Make sure it's completely closed. So that's what I have. And then the other two, I'm going to put on a jump ring. If I can hold it in my hands. And these, you don't have to straighten that up unless you just want to. I left it a P shape, but if you want to have it the lollipop straight, all you need to do shape, all you need to do is go ahead and put the pliers back in the loop and just bend it in the opposite direction of where it was leaning. And now I have a nice upright loop instead of the P shape. And here's the difference. That's all. It doesn't matter on this particular one, but if you like that upright loop, by all means, bend that wire back in the opposite direction from the loop. Now, grab my jump ring, slide both of those on, and you want these to be, you know what? You don't have to have them the same length. Close that a little better. If you want to make them graduated, one a little longer than the other, that is entirely your aesthetic. This is just a little bonus pair. Slide those on, slide on my little back, close it up. How easy is that? Okay. And got my earrings. Let's put those on. This one off. Put this one on. The right way. Leaning upward. Yeah. Slide on that little back. And there is my earring. Front and back. Business in the front, party in the back. There we go. Shift this a little bit so that it's there. Isn't that cute? Just something a little different. I've been having so much fun with these. And you can, I'm not kidding, you can do all kinds of stuff with this. If I wanted to take this one and just have this little bead hanging with the chain, I could do that. There's all kinds of all kinds of possibilities of what you can do with these little guys. But this is fun. I have had the best time making these little earrings. So I hope that you have enjoyed this. Okay, everybody, there are our earrings. This is just an example of what you can do with these little posts and how you can make them a little bit different than anything that I know that I've worn because I'm used to using the hooks instead of the posts. So this is just an example of something different that you can do with your pierced earrings. That is it. Everybody's going to get kits and they're going to have just a wealth of beads and posts and the little butterfly backs and chain and pins in order for you to do what you want with them and make your own collection of pretty earrings. So I hope you have enjoyed this, and I hope that you'll make your own earrings. I'm going to enjoy wearing these. They are so cute. And you know what's really neat is that you can take the back off of one of these and replace it with another one if you want to. If you want just something a little bit different, I never even thought of that. That's an awesome idea. I could take that off and replace it with something that would coordinate but not be the exact same. Oh, wow, that's an interesting idea. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, look at that. Oh, the things that I could do. This is awesome. Okay, that's it, everybody. I could sit here all day and make 10 pairs, but I didn't pause it, so I know that this is running a little long because you were watching me get all set up. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that you'll make your own earrings and show me pictures. You can look down in the description, and it'll give you the link to the Facebook page where you can give me pictures of what you make and make any comments that you want to. You can also send comments and pictures to the uh, email that's also listed in the description, or you can leave me comments on the YouTube page where we are right now. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this for the third time. I think I've said that. And I hope that you will come back and do more of these with us. So until next time. Oh, and wherever you are, it is really hot here. So I hope that you're keeping hydrated and trying to stay cool. Until next time, have a great week. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.